Hello humans and welcome to Middywood Instrument Diaries. My name is Richard Foskette and this is part 2 of Instrument Diaries, where we are taking you through the process of creating a Kontakt instrument. Right from the start, we did sample editing in part 1. We're going to do sample exports today, and in the future we will do GUI design and scripting and all the other things that go into it. So today we're going to do the sample exports, and it's a relatively simple process, but there's some detail that is good to know and helpful. Again, everything that I'm doing is stuff that I've learned. It's a process that I've learned to do. There's many ways to do these things, and there's pros and cons to all of them. So this is really here to help you, on your journey, building instruments, building sample instruments. And I hope you get something out of it. So let's jump straight into the session, which is slightly different. What I've done is I've decided I will export these flams over here. Last time I just avoided them. But so I've got them edited and we're kind of ready to export them too. And I've found just a little section here where I'm playing a little bit, which is going to be useful, just to listen to what's going on the back end. So this is the mic layout that I've got here. We've got mic 1, mic 2, and mic 3. And I thought it's just a good idea to label these. So this will be mono, and then this will be the stereo. And this will be the room. And just for my own brain, I will move mono up here so that we've got a nice sort of clean layout. So that is channel 1, which will be mono, channel 2, stereo, and channel 3, room. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And then, so let's have a bit of a listen to what's going on. I'm just going to put my cans on for this so I can listen clearly. Stereo mic. I'm noticing that the right channel here is a little louder. I'm going to drop it by a couple of dBs. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. And then room. Cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. They don't sound bad. So what I do want to do is put a little bit of noise reduction onto these channels. We did put some on when we were editing, but we're going to set this up a bit differently. So noise reduction is a very helpful tool. And the reason we do it is because, when we're playing the samples within Kontakt later, when the samples stack up, when they start layering, what happens is the noise builds up in the background and you get this overwhelming sort of buildup of hiss and background noise, which we don't want. So we want to clean them up so that there's no hiss in the sample, but we don't want to do it so that it's noticeable. So it's quite a subtle thing that we're trying to achieve. And there is a section of the session that has a little bit of silence in it. Now, I've made this mistake so many times, but you should always record a little bit of silence, a few minutes of it, if you can help it, because the silence is going to be quite useful later on. So I didn't do it, but I've got a little bit, and there's ways to make up a bit of silence, so that's okay. Okay. So this is a little section of silence here. I'm going to just loop this section. And we'll go back here, and let's start with the mono. So this is our mono channel, and I'm going to put a noise reduction on the main channel bus. I'm going to learn the silence here. Completely silent, so I can't even hear it on my headphones as well. So that's okay. And then let's copy that over to the channel 2, which is our stereo bus. It's very quiet in there. Let's learn that. Great. And then into bus 3. So if you're not familiar with RX, let me just show you a couple of things here. Okay. So let's go into bypass. This is the room mic. Let me push the volumes up a bit here so we can hear what's going on. Okay, so that's our hiss. So basically RX denoise is going to learn that hiss and is going to create a sort of hiss profile, and then we can reduce that hiss without affecting the sample tone. Okay. Okay, so that's the profile we've got. And now this is the noise profile. These nodes here are probably things like, I don't know, some background noise in the room, or maybe it's the computer fan or something along those lines. So all of that noise we're going to pull out of this sample. We're just going to play it nice and safe in that sort of position. So if I'm playing my sample, let's just loop the sample. So that's our noise reduction. It's quite subtle. And on the louder samples, you don't really hear it. But if we jam all the way here to our nice soft beginning samples, and then I'm going to push the volume up a bit so we can hear what's going on there. Here's our very first sample without noise reduction. So that's quite a significant drop. And we could probably do a little bit more. But this is our quietest sample, so we're just going to leave it like that for now. I'm not going to be doing any mixing just yet. We could quite happily just add a bit of EQ if we needed it. So this is the mono mic again. And there's no major sound happening, major background sound or anything like that. Just find our little playing sample here. Yeah, there's no major heavy bass tones or anything. I'm going to just mute that and keep that on silent for now. So for now we have this really nice mix of 3 microphones, which we will now proceed to export. Okay, there's a few things we still need to do on this session before we can actually use the samples. We will need to do a little bit of a mix, probably some tuning. We want to make sure that these samples are really nicely tuned. But this is a process we can do within Kontakt as well. So for now, we're going to just leave it as it is. So we're going to export the samples raw. Now there's some different schools of thought with sample exports. The one is that we should go into every sample. Let me just zoom in here. The one is to cut every sample exactly where you want it, put fades in exactly where you want it, and export them clean and perfect the first time around. There's merit in that, for sure. And for a small instrument like this, almost certainly, that's a great idea, I think. It's not a bad idea to do that so that every sample is perfect from the get-go. When you're dealing with the bigger instrument and you're not quite sure of what the samples are going to be, which ones you're going to use yet, you may want to spend less time editing the samples that you're not going to use, if that makes sense, So there's different schools of thought, but in my case, I found this to be quite effective. All right, we're pretty much ready for an export, I'd say. So we'll go to Cubase, File, Export, Audio, Mixdown. And this is going to be our page, and this is really why I love working in Cubase when we're doing this, because this is going to help us a hell of a lot. So by default, we've got a single channel that we can export, which is your stereo out, and we can select a single channel at a time. But Cubase allows us to do multiple channels at a time. So I'm going to not export the stereo out. I don't want that. I want to export M1, M2, and M3, which, as you remember, are the buses for these individual mic channels here. And then I want to export the cycle markers. So right now there are, so I've got the wrong export channel selected. So we need to just go back here and we need to select export. So that's the channel we're going to export. And then immediately we see all our beautiful samples ready for export here. So we're exporting not locators, we're exporting the cycle markers. Bear that in mind. So let's just select them all. We're going to click the top one and the bottom one and just have them all selected like that. Pretty simple. And now we need a naming convention. So currently this is our naming convention here, which makes no sense to us and is not going to be helpful to us. We want to name them via the cycle markers here. So let's go into that. Let's have a look how we do that. Pretty simple, really. We find the cycle marker name and we drop that in there. And immediately you'll see the preview over here. So hand sus D3, velocity 0, round robin 0. We also want to add the channel name. So we're going to pop that in there. So that will now be M3. So M1, M2, M3, mic 1, mic 2, and mic 3. Just be sure also to add a separator here. You can add anything as a separator, dash, whatever you want. Oops, sorry. So the reason I put an underscore is because these are sort of delineators that are going to differentiate between the different components of the sample name. And I'm using a dash for the articulation name. So I want to make sure that this is a underscore. So that these are going to be our differentiators here. Okay. So that's cool. So now my preview is telling me what that sample name is going to be. I need to find a path. And I'm just going to, I don't want to put it into the project audio folder. I'll put it into the project mixdown folder, but I want to give it a folder name. So let's just go into the session here. I'm going to go mixdown and I'm going to add this. I'm just going to call this block 1. So this is going to be export block 1. Let's save that. Okay, so now we've got our sample name. We've got our path set up. We're going to export at 2448. I recorded this at 2496, but we're going to export 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. Okay, that's great. We're ready to go. I don't need any of this stuff, and we can just add that to queue. Okay, so this has popped up with a warning. This is saying, please change your name scheme as it does not provide unique names for the files. This is either here the problem, which it's not, I don't think. The problem is that I've got a file that's two files that are named the same. So we've got to find out where that's happening. Okay, let's close this. Let's go back into our marker names, and we've got to try locate this. This is always a tricky one to locate, and it's a bit of trial and error. I've obviously made a mistake somewhere. So let's find out where. A3, A4, C4, C5, D3. Let's just see if anything's repeating. Okay, so that was just the error there. That should be C4 instead of C5. And then all of that looks right. Cool. Okay, so that should now be right. So let's go again from the top to the bottom. Let's select everything and pop it in. Great. Okay. So block 1 is now ready for export. Okay. So we're going to go, we don't want real time. We want update display. We can do that if we want, don't need to. And then keep dialog open. That's fine. Okay, we are ready to export. So I'm going to go here. That's not important, but I've got my folder ready. This is always an exciting moment. And here we go. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I don't know if I am. Let's kill the tuner to save a bit of CPU there. Let's go. And you'll see it will start to render. It's pretty slow, and that's almost 100% due to the noise reduction happening in the background. But as this goes through its little paces, we will monitor it, and the samples should be filtering into their little folder here, and you'll see them starting to build here. So slowly but surely the samples are being exported. If I had removed the noise reduction, this would happen super quick. Now, while we wait for the samples to export, there's something to be said about each step of the process really represents the care that you are willing to put in to it. The export of the samples is, or the editing of the samples at least, is one of the most important parts of it. If your samples sound terrible, then that's not going to be great. Your recording is really important. If your recording process is flawed, your samples aren't going to sound great, no matter how you edit them. And each step of the process begs for our dedication and our care to the detail. Now, I'm not talking about being a perfectionist. I am talking about care for the detail, and that is, at the end of a project where you've spent weeks or months or even years on a project, all of that care to the detail sums up at the end of the project. And if you've been careless at the beginning and throughout the process, by the end of the project, you are going to have a sum of carelessness that is going to be, representative, and it's going to represent within your production. So I always strive to be really detail orientated right from the get-go. Take a little bit of time extra setting up the mics or preparing the preamps, or bit more extra time sample editing, bit more extra time with the export, the naming convention. Just spend that time thinking about the stuff. Inevitably, you're going to make mistakes, and that's fine. I mean, the amount of mistakes I've made, even in this process, there's many, but you correct for that as you go. And if you are detail oriented and not perfectionist, but as good as you can in that time, that really does help. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. Sweet. So that is now all our samples complete. Block 1 is done. Open this folder. Here they are. can listen to them quickly. And that's beautiful. I'm super stoked. So our sample count, if we have a look in here, is at 1.63 gigs. And sample count, I can't make out, 679 items. All right, humans, that's the end of part 2. We have our samples, 678 of them, all beautifully ready for Kontakt. And so part 3, we're going to bring them into Kontakt and hear them in their digital glory for the very first time. So tune in for that, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.